Fudge, that tasty, sweet seaside treat for your neighbour, and thanks for looking after your dog. Not anymore. The days of fudge being so stereotyped are over. According to the Kent company Fudge Kitchen, they're celebrating 30 years in the business. And they're based in Limage. They specialise in high-quality fresh fudge. Things are going so well, they're expanding with the opening of a new factory. It's happening today. Our reporter Ben Croucher is live in Aylsham this morning. Hi, Ben.
Good morning, Julia. Yes, this is one of the hardest parts of my day, it has to be said, coming to the production facility here on the Aylsham Industrial Estate. The colours, the smells are unbelievable, it has to be said. When I came in, I was just greeted by these sticks of fudge, the kind of stuff that you were tasting earlier this morning. It looks incredible, it smells incredible, and no doubt it tastes incredible. Now, I've got the owner, Sean Holt, alongside me. Now, this 30 years ago, when you first started in the business, must have just seemed so far-fetched.
Well, goodness me, even 2 years ago, this would be far-fetched. Quite frankly, we have had such a wonderful, wonderful last 3 years of product development and inventing new things like drinking fudge. What is that even? Fudge sauce, and of course our premium butter fudge. But 30 years ago, with just one shop, up on Blackpool Pleasure Beach, where people didn't really care too much about quality. I couldn't have ever imagined this 30 years later.
I was going to say, so how did you first start getting into the business? Because it's not something that immediately springs off coming straight out of university and then going into fudge making.
Well, you're quite right. I was straight out of uni, and it's a quirky, one of those weird stories. I met a Yank called Jim Garrahy, and he made fudge. And he'd met a man who owned Blackpool Pleasure Beach in a bar. Just as you do, international business being done. And Jim said to me, do you know anything about setting up UK companies or about fudge? And I said, no, you tell me about the fudge, I'll tell you about the companies. And then time passed, and in '95 we had 2 shops, which I'd set up for Jim, and I bought it off him because really he was more interested in the sign saying international than actually what we were doing. And from '95 onwards, we have really set up an amazing series of retail outlets with some fantastic people who make the best fudge in the world.
I was going to say, because that's where your background is. It isn't in this kind of this production, this batch production facility. It's specialist shops producing top quality fudge.
Exactly. Until 3 years ago, we were retailer producers, where each shop produced what it made in front of our customers and only sold that product. People began to say, can we sell your product too? We think it's fantastic. We want to be able to sell it. Other retailers, online retailers, exporters, and we had a very short shelf life. So over the last 3 years, we've embarked on a huge new product development and food technology project to try and create a range that we could wholesale. And this today, unbelievably, 3 years later, is the culmination of all of that hard work.
I was going to say, when you stand here right now, 30 years ago, this was a pipe dream for you. When you stand here inside your own production facility, you've got fudge piled as high as the ceiling goes, you've got a factory full of workers just slaving away for you. How satisfied and how proud does this make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel enormously proud, but you know, none of this would have ever been achievable had it not been for the most fantastic people that I work with. I mean, we must be about 60 strong in the company now, but of those 60, probably 10 to 20 have been with me longer than 10 years. And it's the enthusiasm, the product knowledge, the fun, the energy of all of those people that has made this possible. And the new venture, this wholesale arm to our business, could never have happened if it hadn't been for the support of family and friends, the ingenuity of our food technologist, Julie Crenn, and the creativity of Emily, our marketing lady. So it's been a culmination of hard work by lots and lots of people.
And of course, opening this new facility means new jobs and plenty of demand. I dare say you didn't struggle to get people to work in a fudge kitchen. Well,
you won't believe it, but I think we had nigh on 400 applicants here. So we
for how many jobs?
Well, 8 initially. Really, we've got a 2-phase development. We only found and started the conversion of the building in January. So we've had a first stage of employment for right now, but our big business starts to build from July for the Christmas season, when we have orders to fulfill for department stores, and excitingly today we'll be able to announce that we're actually going to be stocked by Selfridges, which is just fantastic news. So we will be recruiting again around June time to boost the team up for that Christmas season.
Yeah, fantastic news for Kent Business and indeed Kent Employment. We'll come back here just after the travel news here at Fudge Kitchen in Aylsham, and maybe even get to sample a little bit. And Julia, I know you're enjoying it.
Yeah, there's only one stick left in the box, if I'm honest. Yes, we'll talk some more about the Fudge Kitchen after the latest travel news. Also coming up in the next 20 minutes, we're going to speak to the Prisons Minister about this suggestion that in future prisoners should have a pretty unpleasant arrival in prison and should have to earn perks, including more family visits. Is this, as a taxpayer, exactly what you want? And what makes us experts on what works in prison anyway? The Justice Minister, the Prisons Minister rather, joins us at exactly 10:30.
Travel. BBC Radio Kent.
Latest travel news for Kent with James Worley. Hello, James.
Right, Jules, problems on the M2 towards London. Now, a car is on fire between Five and Medway services. It's on the hard shoulder, we understand, and there are queues building up rapidly. I can't see the incident, but I can certainly see the back of the queue, which is almost at junction 5. So London-bound M2 queuing, passing a car fire. One lane's blocked off for the emergency services for the fire brigade to attend this vehicle fire. Coastbound, no reported delays past the scene, but it could be busy. We'll keep an eye on that. M20 is moving well though, and no reported problems on the M25. If you're heading into London, the Blackwall Tunnel approach has eased off now, and as for trains, well, South Eastern report a good service. Southern say delays for trains between Tunbridge and London Bridge, and that's because of a passenger taken ill earlier up at Redhill. No reported delays on Eurotunnel and Eurostar, and no reported problems for sailings out of Dover. You're up to date with BBC Radio Kent Travel. I'm James Worley. More from me in half an hour.
There's more travel news online. bbc.co.uk/Kent. BBC Radio Kent.
So we're talking about delicious handcrafted fudge, and we're talking about a business in Kent that is doing really well. Ben Croucher is live with Sian Holt, the managing director and owner of the Kent Company Fudge Kitchen. Back to you, Ben.
Thanks, Jules. Yeah, I've currently just got an array of fudge being hand-delivered to me. It's magnificent. The smells are incredible. We're going to taste a bit in a moment. Of course, the whole point of it is all perfectly handmade as well, isn't it? It's proper old-fashioned techniques. It
certainly is. Yes, absolutely every part of the process is handmade. So Tanya, who's head of our production here at Aylsham, actually makes all of the product, all of the butter fudge that we wholesale by hand in 10-kilo batches. It's then turned out, left to dry, hand cut into sharing squares or our new dipsticks, and then it's bagged and packed into our beautiful packaging, all by hand, the entire process.
And of course, this isn't the kind of fudge that we'll get out of a pick and mix packs with our white mice and our chocolate raisins.
Oh, most certainly not. No. So this is really high quality ingredients, but it's also the way that we make it that gives us a very unique texture. So we work our fudge just as we do on the slabs in our own shop, so that it has a very, very smooth, not grainy, not crumbly texture.
Well, I'm salivating at the thought. I've got a tray in front of me. We'll tweet a picture. We'll tweet a picture very shortly at BBC Radio Kent. Well, you tell us what we've got here and tell us what I'm going to be having.
So these are a range of miniatures, and they're all hand cut and hand decorated. We've got vanilla walnut, chocolate orange and chili, peanut butter, white chocolate and raspberry, sea salted caramel, Belgian chocolate swirl, and classic chocolate.
Now they all sound. Let's try. What we'll do is the Belgian chocolate swirl. We'll try a little bit of that. Now, what am I going to be tasting here?
So you're going to be tasting a vanilla fudge, and as it sets up, we actually add Belgian chocolate to it, so that it melts through just gradually into a swirl. So you should get a combination of vanilla and chocolate with a very smooth texture.
That you take a bite and it's fudge, and then it just dissolves and melts in your mouth. That's absolutely incredible. And So you really get the different layers of the texture there in it. Right, let's try. Was it?
Try that one.
Which one's this one?
Sea salted caramel.
Right, that's going in now. That's very rich.
It is very, very rich. That's probably the richest flavour that we do, and the combination of the sweetness of the caramel and the salt is just fantastic.
It's a very unusual flavour because you get the caramel initially and then you get a little bit of something else.
Yeah, that's the salt that comes in after.
Now, Julia, which one have you been trying?
I've been trying the gourmet fudge dip stick. So that's the classic chocolate that's been dipped in white chocolate. And I love the packaging as well. I'd be really delighted if somebody brought these round to me as a present, or, you know, whip them out at the end of a nice meal instead of pudding. A cup of coffee and one of these would go down a treat.
So really, everything that we do is aimed at putting fudge in a new slot. We're trying to bridge the gap between fudge and the high-end confectionery, so that obviously the packaging of our product is as important as the product within. And that's been very much part of what we've been busy doing over the last 3 years. And moving here to Aylsham has been fabulous, because last production facilities of our own shops, but having access to the Regional Growth Fund has enabled us to set up this standalone facility and consolidate the production, which will make increase our capacity enormously.
Sean, we wish you every success. Thank you. And Ben, could you please bring back some of the sea salted caramel, because I quite like to try that one as well.
I recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it.
Ben Croucher and Sian Holt, who is the managing director and owner of the very successful Kent company Fudge Kitchen.